Okay, I found something very interesting today when I was reading the Bible. That's this book. Well, it's Protestant Bible, which is 70 books, 66 names of a book, which since the book of Psalms is 5 books, that's 70 books. 70, if you've studied numerology, is a very cool number, I guess. Okay, I was reading Amos, but before I get to Amos, I'll have to read you something from Genesis. Well, no, I'll read you Amos. I was reading Amos, and Amos is really pissed off. He starts the whole book by saying, "The Lord roars. The pastures mourn, and the mountains wither." And then he starts talking about Damascus sucks, Gaza sucks, Tyre, Edom, Ammon, Moab, Judah, Israel. You guys suck. But anyway, getting on Amos chapter 4, he's talking about Israel, the whole nation of Israel, pretty much bad. And it's Jesus. When you see in the Old Testament L-O-R-D in all caps, that's transliterated as the Lord. Well, duh, because that's what it spells. But anyway, it's meaning El, as in the Hebrew word for God. Arabic is Allah, where they get the word Allah. Anyway, El in Hebrew is El Shaddai, El Elyon. Many words meaning El, God. Elijah is a term. God is with us. Maybe no, I don't know what Elijah means. But anyway, I know that. Let's see. The book of Joel. Joel means Joel, which is Yahweh is God. Ooh, that's 2 o'clock in the morning. Ha. Anyway, Amos 4:11 says, "I overthrew some of you as God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah." But this is Jesus talking, the pre-incarnate Jesus before he was born of the Virgin Mary. So I was like, well, how can he say, "I overthrew some of you as God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah"? Because Jesus is like pretty pissed off at Israel this time. But he's talking to Amos, telling Amos to write what he says. So Jesus says, "I overthrew some of you as God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah." So I'm like, well, I thought Jesus overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean Christ, the Messiah, the third part of the Godhead, Trinity, Triune Godhead, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, that kind of thing. So I said, well, what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah? Well, let's look at Genesis. Alright, Genesis chapter 18, verse 16. Abraham is talking to one guy and 2 other guys. The one guy turns out to be the Son of God, which is the Messiah, which is the Lord. So it's Christ, right? Jesus, pre-incarnate, before he was born on the earth as man. He was still God. He was God yesterday before he was born, now he's still God. So anyway, so here he is. So Abraham is talking to Jesus, and 2 angels are with him. Verse 16, "Then the men rose from there and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to send them on their way. And the Lord said, 'Shall I hide from Abraham what I'm doing?'" Talking about Sodom and Gomorrah. Lot, Abraham's nephew, lives there. And Jesus says, well, I'm going to go down and see whether they have done according to all these things, and I'll know. Then the men turned away from there and went toward Sodom, but Abraham still stood before the Lord. And Abraham came near and said, "Would you destroy the righteous with the wicked?" And anyway, they have this barter back and forth, and Abraham says, "Would you kill them, the whole town, if there was 50 righteous men living there?" And the Lord's like, "No, I wouldn't do that." Anyway, he bartered them down to 10. Anyway, verse 32, he said, "I will not destroy it for the sake of 10. Verse 33, "So the Lord went his way as soon as he had finished speaking with Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place." So you've got the separation there. You've got these 2 guys that go to Sodom. I don't even know if anybody went to Gomorrah. I guess Gomorrah was like a side note. Yes, I'll destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. But anyway, so, but Abraham and Jesus are talking, And then Abraham goes home, and Jesus, well, actually, it says Jesus went his way, the Lord, and then Abraham went his way. So where did the Lord go? I don't know. No one knows. However, it's made clear in verse 1 of chapter 19, now the two angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting there in the gate of Sodom. What happened to Jesus? What happened to the Lord? Did he have errands to run? Groceries to get? But it is made clear that he left this job of deciding to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah to the angels. Chapter of 19, verse 23. The sun rose, and chapter 20, verse 24. Then the Lord rained brimstone and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. So he overthrew those cities and the plains. So that's it. So then the Lord rained brimstone from Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. Verse 29. And then it came to pass when God destroyed the cities of the plains that God remembered Abraham. So, is it like this tag team thing? I don't know. I can't figure it out. But anyway, this is just one of those instances where God and the Lord are like these two guys, like this tag team. Anyway, I just thought it was interesting conversation and the way that these two guys work together. I guess the Spirit's got a busy schedule too, because he's not even mentioned here. But that's